All right, everybody, welcome back to the best damn training channel on YouTube. So today at the track, gonna do some max velocity work. I have a couple things that I'm gonna be trying to focus on today while doing my max velocity work. Today's training, we're gonna be doing the primary focus on flying 30s. So I'll do about a 25-meter buildup into a 30-meter fly, and we're gonna probably hit somewhere between 3 to 5 total repetitions on that, depending on if we see a decrease in the times and if there's a big variability on those. But as long as everything's feeling good, we're gonna try to push that to 4 to 5 reps today. The second thing that I'm focusing on is after I put up a video on YouTube, probably, I don't know, about a month, 2 months ago now, of some max velocity work, I had an Olympic sprinter reach out to me, and this guy gave me some pointers on some things that he wants to see me work on when it comes into the max velocity work, and he thinks it's gonna be something that's gonna help me get from like a 308 to very close to that 3 second or even sub 3 second 30 meters, which is my goal for the end of this next 12-week phase. What I added into my warm-up today to try to help work on this is some resisted bounding variations. And the thing that I'm trying to focus on is getting more extension through the hip as I'm going horizontally through my max velocity work. So trying to really extend through the hip and reach toe off position a little bit further behind myself versus right directly underneath. So the one thing that he said that was like a glaring weakness in my max velo technique was the fact that I'm too vertical. And what that means is that I'm putting a lot of force down into the track, but I'm not putting a lot of force going horizontally, like projecting myself forward when I'm releasing off of the track or I'm reaching toe off position. So what I mean by that is he sent me some clips and some things of like positions that I need to work on. And what he saw was that, let's say I'm in my max velocity and I'm sprinting. Obviously this knee's a little bit high, but I'm reaching to about this position here before I start to cycle that leg and bring it back forward. So this position in max velocity is very vertical. My toe off position isn't that far behind my center of mass. This would be considered a very vertical position. The second thing also was I was a little bit too upright with my torso. So the things I'm gonna be trying to work on is trying to extend that toe off position, get better extension through the hip to be able to move me in a straight direction faster, but then also try to get more of a lean with my upper body so that I am projecting my center of mass this direction versus being more upright and just hammering the ground with a lot of force. So as we do some of these flying 30s today, that's gonna be my focus. I'm gonna do probably one warm-up set, trying to work on how that's gonna feel if I'm like consciously trying to push through the hip more and extend that toe off position a little bit. And then we're just gonna send it for a few reps and see what kind of numbers we get today. So rep number 1 was about 85% effort. I got a 320 on that one. Rep number 2, I would say, is about 90 to 95% effort. Felt like I still had another gear to give there, and that was a 312. So we're gonna take a break for about 4 to 5 minutes, try to catch our breath again, get the legs feeling fresh, and then we're gonna start sending it and see if we can't get down to that 308 to 307 range. So my idea for this is over the course of the next 12 weeks, I'm gonna be trying to drop that 308 from last week down to a 300. So I'm looking at every 1 to 2 weeks, trying to take off like 100th, and then there will be a stagnant point probably around week 6 or 7 during this block where I'm probably gonna see a little bit of a decrease in that performance and then see a bigger jump, just because the weight room work, the other acceleration day, the plows, all that kind of stuff, we're gonna be ramping up intensity on that, which is gonna take away my ability to always just like produce max velocity at true max velocity, like high efforts. So the goal here is like 308 last week, 308, 307 this week. Next week, 307, 306. The week after that, probably 307, 306 again, because that's gonna be a heavy week of training. I'm not gonna really see probably too much improvement. The week after that, because of that heavy week of training, I'm probably gonna see that 307, 308 again. And then I'm expecting like a 306, 305, somewhere around week 7 or 8, and then try to drop that last few hundredths, get close to 300 as possible in terms of reaching that goal in the 12-week span. A couple more minutes here, and then we're just gonna full on send it and see what we can get today. Whew. All right, rep number 1, 25-meter lead in, 30-meter fly. Let's send it and see where we get. Oh man, this is what we call calling your shot. Look at that, 307, on the money. Rep number 2, again, 25-meter lead, 30-meter fly. If I hit another 307 right here, then I'm only doing 3 reps today. Because I'm hitting the number that I want to hit, I'm getting the intensity that I want to get, and I still got some fly flow flies to do after this, where I can get a little bit more volume on those fly flow flies versus just trying to hammer some flying 30s. So if this is a 307, I'm doing 3 total reps. If it's below a 307, I'm done, and I'll just go straight on to the fly flow flies. All right, initial feeling, that one felt worse. Felt like my legs were way far behind me, but I guess, all right, what was that? 307. Felt worse, same time. Here you go. So I got one more, back-to-back 307s. I said before that rep, if I hit another 307, I'm only gonna do 3. The reason I wanna do that is because this flying 30 is very specific towards what I'm testing for, which is a flying 30. The only difference is I'll probably extend that lead in to be about 30 meters versus 25. So I'm not going to necessarily get better at flying 30s by continuously doing more flying 30s. It's a good way to create a stimulus, but I want to create an adaptation that's going to allow me to run faster than what I'm currently running. And a way to do that is with fly flow flies. So the way that I'm using my fly flow flies right now is 1, get in more quality work by breaking up the fly zone into 2 sections. So that allows you to hit a really high intensity, have a short period where you're just cruising, and then hit another section of very high intensity. The fly zones are gonna be 15 meters each. There's gonna be a 10-meter fly or a 10-meter float zone in the middle. And what that means is I'm gonna be going all out for 15 meters. I'm gonna kind of let up off the gas and try to carry that momentum through. So basically decelerate as little as possible before I hit my next 15 meters, and then punch it again for 15 meters and try to go all out for that. What that's gonna allow me to do is still accumulate volume at max velocity, create a stimulus, but that should allow for each of those 15-meter sections to be at a faster max velocity than a straight 30-meter section by itself. That little break in the center there allows you to kind of conserve energy a little bit and then punch it again and try to maintain. So for me, the most important part of a fly flow fly is that second fly section. I already know I'm gonna be fast going from 20 meters into a 15-meter fly, but I wanna make sure that I'm fast after that 15-meter fly in the float for that last 15. That last 15, I think, is going to be what is going to dictate whether or not I'm going to be able to burn through a 3-second flying 30 later on in about 12 weeks. So that's how I'm going to be using today's fly flow flies. I got another couple minutes here. I'll do one more flying 30, and then we'll start knocking out some fly flow flies. All right, last rep for the flying 30s. Your boy is flying today. 307, 307, 306. All right, so what I'm gonna do for the fly flow flies is I'm gonna measure my last 15s and use that to kind of dictate the quality of the reps that I'm doing. I'm gonna have a 20-meter lead in, 15-meter fly, a 10-meter float section, and then a 15-meter fly to end it off. So this cone right here to the finish line right there is 15 meters, because I think dropping this 15-meter time down is going to be what's going to help me drop that 306 closer to a 3-second flat or a sub 3 when it comes to the flying 30. So probably going to do 2 reps on this just so I can get a comparison between rep to rep. And then I'm going to use that number as kind of my baseline as I go forward into the next weeks following today. So same kind of thing, no expectation for this back 15. Get a baseline number on that, and then we're going to try to improve on that for a couple weeks. Expect a period of time where that number is probably going to go back up a little bit because of fatigue, and then see that number drop itself back down. So it's going to be fun to measure this out and see how improving on this number here is going to help improve on that flying 30. First rep on the fly flow flies, 155 on that second 15. We're gonna run one more, use these numbers from this week as kind of the baseline, and then see on how we can improve that number week after week along with the flying 30s. So the few ideas that I have moving forward is decrease the number of flying 30s that we're going to do, because that is specific towards what we're trying to improve, and then increase some more work on the fly flow flies, maybe play with the fly zones, play with that float zone, and try to make things a little bit different to see how we can improve on those numbers there. But for at least the next 3 weeks, we'll keep it the same just so I have a consistent measurement. I'm not going to change it up week after week after week. So I think last week I did 4 flying 30s. This week I did 3. Next week I'll probably do 2, increase the amount of volume on the fly float flies. The week after that, since week 3 is generally a pretty heavy, hard week for me, probably decrease the overall volume and try to get a little bit of a deload in, and then we'll ramp it back up and maybe change some of those fly zones and float zones as we go into week 5 or 6, depending on how everything is going. So another minute, and then we'll knock out 1 more rep for today's track session. My hips are on fire right now. I think what's happening is because I'm so focused on getting through extension, even just it being in this position right here, my glute is just locked. And I haven't felt that during sprints in a long freaking time. Last rep there was the best rep of the day. Best feeling rep of the day. It's hard to really equate what a 151 would be in relationship to a flying 30 at a 306. But in terms of like, today was obviously max velocity, put in high efforts, run as fast as you can, but also trying to focus more consciously on extending through the hip a little bit more, maybe covering a little bit more ground on each of those steps and getting into a better position to project myself horizontally in max velocity was also a very conscious thing that I was aware of while I was sprinting. Like I said, prior to that last rep there, my hips, my glutes, everything is on fire because I'm really focused on extending through the hip and getting to that extension point where that foot is behind the center of mass. When I do reach toe off position, I can feel it a lot and it feels good. It feels fast. So that's gonna be it for today's session. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. I always forget to say that at the beginning of the video, and I don't know how many of y'all actually make it to the end of the video. I appreciate you for sticking around, and I'll see you guys in the next one.